Just kind of give us an update how you think practice is going now that you've moved past the first scrimmage and getting ready to go into a different stage of camp.
I feel like practice is going very great now. We got to go to another stage now. We went through the physical things and things like that, but now we just getting ready to, lock in on our assignments and make sure everyone of us is healthy, ready for the season.
How much more important is that, Corey, this year with so much experience gone from the safeties room and a lot of talent back, but a lot of guys that don't have many SEC reps?
Yeah, it's very important. We got to take every rep serious. Especially from the back end, in my group, safeties, very young, ain't got that many reps besides Sean Preston, so every rep is very serious, and we got to take advantage of every one of them.
How cool has it been getting a chance to play with Kamari back there in the secondary?
Oh, great. Me and his dad, family, been together for a long time, about at least 3 to 4 years. They changed my life, so it's an honor to play with him too.
What about some of these newcomers at safety? I mean, how are those guys kind of settling in, and what do you think about how they played so far?
One name well, 2 names that speak out to me. Well, actually 4. All of them really good. But just coming fresh out of high school, William James and Isaac Smith. Them guys they're gonna be big ball players. We bring them along.
What is it about Isaac that you think could make him a good player? Especially he came early, wasn't really able to participate in the spring, and now he's already making a quick jump here in fall camp.
Very dedicated. He's a very dedicated man. He knows that one injury, one mess up, he can be playing. So I feel like he take his job very seriously, and he knows what's at stake.
What about some of the transfers? Who's kind of stood out in that group?
Transfers from the defensive end?
Like maybe Jacoby?
Jacoby, as far as
Albert, how's he
Albert, oh yeah, most definitely. Him and Chris Keys, great pickups. I'm glad we did pick up to him. Versatile player. They play boundary safety, field safety. Both of them can switch it all. I feel like they're gonna be great for us too.
When they bring in these transfers, that make you raise your game now because you've got more competition of guys who've played at other colleges.
Yeah, I most definitely have a chip on my shoulder. I knew that new guys was coming in, and I knew that I had to really stand on my work and don't take it for granted.
What's it been like with a new coach back there? I mean, obviously you had Arnett last year, captain of the defense, but now you got a brand new coach. So what's it been like? How are things different?
I wouldn't even say really different because even last year, Coach Dewhurst was still like in our safety room. He was still coaching us, so it wasn't like a big shift. It's just like we're used to it.
We talked about Kamari and obviously 2 Holmes County guys in the secondary now, and you got some more guys coming up. I mean, what's in the water down there in Holmes County? You guys are producing this SEC talent like that.
It really been water. It's been some kind of water down there. It just haven't really got that much attention. But continue to go down there. It's gonna be great players.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Corey.
Corey.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Well, take us through the first little bit of camp. I mean, how do you feel like you performed so far?
Right now, as of now, camp about over, but from the start of camp, I just really tried to go my hardest at all times, trying to prove to the coaches something that's in me for real. But I ain't gonna lie, I didn't know what to expect this camp because it's like new everything, new people, new faces, new teammates.
And then you go out and have a decent scrimmage the other night, so kind of take us through that. What happened in scrimmage?
Scrimmage, I couldn't tell you. I just try to work my hardest, you know what I'm saying? I just try to really play my role, do my job. I wasn't trying to do too much. I just tried to do what I was exactly told to help the team, help the defense.
What's the last couple of years been like for you, kind of, getting here and learning the defense and learning what SEC ball is all about, and now trying to get in there and get some major reps this year?
At first, it was hard because coming out of high school, you don't really think. You just want to live the college life for real. But now, like I done locked in. I just really try to focus on the plays, focus on footwork, hands, all that.
Who are some of the guys that's really kind of helped you get to where you are right now, where you are as a player?
DeMonte Russell and Bam when he was here. Bambino, when he was here, and DeMonte, Crum, they all helped me. The whole D-line really helped because the whole D-line really pushes one. We really just try to be like a family in the room, you know what I'm saying?
What's it been like playing for David Turner?
David Turner is a guy. He's serious. He's fun. He's talented. He knows something. He got knowledge behind him. So him coming here really teaching us new everything as stance, start, feet, footwork, all that. It's really helping everybody as a whole.
I mean, he's obviously coached some of the best football players in the game, right? I mean, and I'm sure he doesn't need to remind you of that. But when you've got that guy that's helped those guys develop, what does that maybe do for the buy-in for the guys, knowing that this is a guy that's put guys in the league and cashing big checks?
It just really mean for the people he teaching now, like, trusting him. You know what I'm saying? Just believe in what he got to say. Believe in what he says. Believe in what he tells us to do. And like, we gonna. Now I ain't gonna say we all gonna make it, but hopefully, you know what I'm saying?
How far has that defensive line come over the last couple of weeks working with Coach Turner and in camp so far?
We are way more physical right now than we was at the start. We're way more physical. We don't be getting tired for real. We rotate. Like, it's really like, it's rolling right now, but we still not where we need to be as a whole.
There's been a lot of talk of potentially putting another defensive lineman in there and going from a 3-man front to a 4-man front. I mean, where do you fit in that equation, you think?
I believe if I was to go in there, I believe I'll be the DN, but like, as I say, like, there's no guarantee, but I still would try to, like, I'm still trying to work hard to be in that spot, to be any spot on the field, really.
Appreciate
All
you,
right,
man.
thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
So kind of give us a progress report now. We haven't been able to see much from your group with the way the practice is structured, but what y'all been doing?
We have two pretty good returners. I'm just going to mention that real quick. Kind of under the radar guys. Kicker, awesome competition going on. There's 3 to 4 guys competing for that job. Kickoff as well. There's 4 guys that are capable, and then also at the punter, Keelan Crimmins and Andrew Osteen, two really good punters as well. So a lot more depth, a lot more competition, a lot more. You don't make your kick or you don't execute, there's somebody else ready to kind of to earn that rep. So it's been good to have that in camp.
How is that transition with Crimmins from Australian rules football to American football? Or is it a big transition?
We just have to change. You can't eat no kangaroo meat here. We can't eat any of that. Which I learned they were pests. They're pests in Australia. You can actually eat them over there. So that was an interesting fun fact from Keelan. But no, he played Australian rules football for about 3 years and some leagues there. So they grow up playing with their feet, versus some sports, baseball or something like that. So I mean, he can run around and somebody runs a post route, and he can kind of just punt it up to him, hit him in stride. So it's just getting him used to the American game and kind of what things we're looking for from our scheme and what we're trying to do. And then obviously Andrew, coming from UCF's got a lot of experience and been an outstanding holder for us so far through fall camp as well.
Speaking of Keelan, I mean, obviously that's a different style than what they've had here. Do you like that style, or are you trying to force feed something else? I mean, how are you kind of utilizing that?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the style. I mean, I've done it in 2 to 3 places I've been at, and it's they don't always have the right guy for the job. Now we have the absolute guy for the job. Having said that, Andrew's worked some of that same type of punting as well, man. So both those guys are pretty multiple in what they can do, and then it'll be fun to kind of work with them.
Knowing Keelan's background, though, how likely is Coach Mealy going to call like a fake punt or something where he can use his athleticism to do something besides punt?
Yeah, I mean, he might have to do that on his own and trump me. I don't know. We'll have something in the pocket for that. Maybe the kangaroo pass or something. What's that? The boomerang? With the he can actually do it with his feet. He can kick it sideways, man. But we want to go that way. I tell him just make sure he goes downfield first, about 40 yards before that happens. But
So how is Nicholas kicking the ball?
he's been solid when he's been available. He's been solid. So veteran guy as well. So you know what you're going to get from him.
Besides your under-the-radar guys with Tulu and Xavion, who's some other guys you're kind of working at kickoff return and punt return?
Simeon Price is a guy who's back there in kick return that obviously is a bigger body that can do some different things. Jacoby Belazar's back there catching some kicks. Creed Whitmore's been catching some punts. Jaden Wally's caught some punts. So we have there's some good depth there as well in that room. Both those rooms.
When
What
you
does
have
it do
guys
for
with
your-
such ability as a Xavier and a Tulu, what do you do at this stage now they're already All-Americans? How do you make them better?
That's a great question. Any tips on that? Or, yeah. We have to block better up front for those guys, and those guys just got to make really good decisions. Some of those plays they make on their own. Maybe there's a cut here or a cut there that they kind of missed and broke a tackle, but really just kind of get out of their way, let them be decisive. I mean, they kind of preach that all the time. If you make the wrong cut or read the wrong thing, if you think it's right, go ahead and take it, man. I want to slow those guys down. So they're both aggressive, want the ball in their hands. So it makes my job a little easier anyway.
What does it do for your kicking room? You bring in 2 transfer portal guys that have a lot of experience in college football, and how much does that help you?
That's great. That's great. And then the other transfer, brother Ethan Chang is in town, and he's kicked a bunch of balls, and got the college level, and he's got a big leg. So, again, it's just they kind of set the bar. They know the expectation. You go through practice and kind of at a certain level, intensity level, but those guys that have played games before in big stadiums understand that it's about to get ramped up here in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, you can't take a play off, can't take a rep off, can't relax, and got to keep working your craft to get better and better.
Special teams has kind of been a rite of passage for a lot of guys over the years, especially early on in their career, to kind of cut their teeth. I mean, how much do you stress that on some of the young guys, that this is your opportunity to get in there and impress?
Yeah, huge. I mean, Marcus Banks, for example, right now kind of in the pole position, one of those safety spots, is a guy that logged almost 200 reps for us on special teams last year. Didn't quite play as much on defense, so he's a great example. Jordan Morant's a guy that played a ton of reps for us last year, and he's bounced around there in the safety mix. And DeCarlos Nicholson, same thing, played a bunch of special teams. So their fastest way in the field is special teams, but that's part of my job, is to kind of get those guys ready for their respective side of the ball, using some of those skills to transition. And they're battle tested, right? It's not the first time you threw them out there on a defensive snap or an offensive snap. So it's a great buy-in, right? That part of it is great. I mean, guys want to be out there and want to be on special teams, and including the vets, right, all the way down to the young guys.
Are there some younger guys that you think could be, potential special team demons that you're seeing early?
Yeah, I mean, I just heard his name before you guys talking. Isaac Smith is a guy that can do that, and Zachary Tillman, Avery Sledge. These are guys that are they're really gifted athletes. That maybe not quite ready to step into certain positions, but obviously they can help us out. Because they're all in, they're giving 100%, and they've got the ability and the talent level to do it.
Talked about Nick, being pretty solid when he's been available. How important was that to get some depth at that position, just in case there is an injury or something like that where another guy needs to step in?
Yeah, it's big. We brought in 2 freshmen, and they're doing a good job. Kyle Ferry, Carson Allen, they're really doing a good job. But again, just somebody else to kind of, push the tempo, have a little variety in the room, and another guy that kind of competes, and different personalities, and this way nobody can kind of relax. The competition breeds success adage type of thing. So it's been good. It's been really good.
Well, Rylan, what's the transition been like for you coming over from one Bulldog to another?
Man, it's been awesome. My wife and I talk about it all the time, but the people here are unbelievable. Made it super special for us, super comfortable immediately. Guys like Will and Spivey and those guys have been great to me already, and so getting to connect with them and really just get integrated in this community has been awesome.
You're such a big part of this offense transitioning too, because you're a guy that's played tight end in the SEC for the last 4 years. I know that you're the new guy, but are you and Draquarius especially kind of the guys that are leading the way on, what's expected out of that position?
Yeah, I think, me and Spivey both want to establish a tight end room here for forever for this program. And I think the best thing that we think about in that tight end room is, none of us, we're leading, of course, but we're all learning together. So we're all on the same playing field. No one's playing behind anybody. We're all learning and growing together. So.
You talked about, wanting to create that culture in the tight end room. Why was that so important to you, in terms of making a decision to come here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, coming from a tight end room that's very well established and has a lot of dudes, that's helped create a great culture at Georgia. I think I've realized that, creating rooms like that and the toughness like that, rooms like the D-line room here and running back room and many other rooms in this program are already like. Creating a program like those position groups is key and vital to this team.
When you heard that Kevin Barbay was taking over as offensive coordinator, how did you light up on that thinking, this is a guy that uses my position?
Yeah, it's a great question. App State got to play on Thursday nights a lot last year, and so a lot of us, me and my buddies, would sit back and watch their games. And they're scoring 40, 50, 60 points, and it was like, holy cow. And then to know that he's our OC here has been really cool. And he brings a fun style to the game that it makes it really enjoyable to play in.
You weren't here in the spring, obviously, to kind of see the growth of the offense, but just on the outside looking in, when you get a chance to watch film and stuff, how much have you seen the group grow so far in fall camp?
I think a ton. Anytime you implement a new offense, it's difficult to learn, especially coming from the air raid to Coach Barbay's. But the biggest thing for this group has been the love to learning. Like, everybody is so bought in, and if you're intentional about the learning, which these guys have been, you can see the growth, and the growth has been really big.
How much has the podcast helped you learn, about some of your teammates?
That's a great question. Okay, so I didn't think about that at Georgia when I was doing it at Georgia, about how much I would really learn digging into some of my teammates and be able to connect more about it. And coming here, it's been the same thing. It's been unexpected to learn so many things about different guys and be able to connect on different levels with them.
How was Jaden the guy that ended up in the seat next to you?
That's a great question. So when I came on my visit here, I was just hanging with guys, and it was Will, Jaden, Isaac Smith, just some of the guys, and Jaden was just had me laughing off my butt, dude. And so one night we were, having a drink, and I was like, "Hey man, what do you think about doing a podcast with me?" And he was like, "Absolutely." And we got it going.
You mentioned it's a little different here. Obviously, Georgia's Georgia, right? But what's the strength of Mississippi State? Like, if you were to sell Mississippi State to a recruit someday, how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to sell. This place, I mean, it shows itself. That's why it was so easy to come here. But Coach Barbay, Coach Schmidt, Coach Arnett, they're establishing a culture of toughness, and that's what it takes to win. Like he said at media days, bring your lunchbox and your hard hat, because that's what it's going to take. I think this is a program that wants to win and is going to keep winning because of the guys in that locker room. That's my biggest selling point, is the people in that locker room make it a lot of fun every single day. Plus, facilities like this are pretty dang cool.
Dealt with some injuries in your career. I mean, how do you feel at camp so far? I mean, obviously, it's like somebody said the other day, after that first practice, you're going to be banged up the rest of the year. But I mean, how are you feeling, all things considered? I
feel great. Yeah, it's been an interesting 4 years for me, but this has been my first camp where I've gotten through and been healthy. So this is honestly a big learning month for me, just getting in the groove of going. But I feel great. The strength staff and the training staff are unbelievable here, and so they've helped me do that.
And obviously, you were here last year when Georgia came in, so you're somewhat familiar with the cowbells. It'll be a little different. There'll be a lot more Mississippi State fans when you come this time. But what's that going to be like? I mean, when you go out there and one of college football's greatest traditions is at your back.
It's going to be a lot different than it was running out when it was against you, that's for sure. You were out there, it was cold last year, and you ring, you're like, what is going on? And now, man, that is the identity of this place, and so I can't wait to be a part of it. And my parents already have cowbells, and we got 30 wedding gifts at cowbells, so we're excited.
How exciting is it to have Xavier on your team this time?
Dude, freak. He is a freak. I see him out there, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm playing with this guy. All right, guys. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Obviously, redshirted last year, had to learn the ropes a little bit. What's that like coming into this year, knowing that you'll be counted on to help in that rotation?
Oh, I can say I'm a lot comfortable now that I know a lot of my assignments, so I can go out and play with confidence. I won't be as hesitant as I was last year.
How different is it? Because you were another guy in Mississippi, a highly rated guy, tons of offers, a lot of good rankings. How different is that transition to the SEC?
It's a big difference coming from the small school I came from. So, and like being as high as ranked as I was, it's a lot of high expectations that I have for myself. So I just look forward to upholding those standards.
How beneficial is it to have somebody like Jaden out there that's kind of leading the defensive line, and other guys like DeMonte and Nathan too?
It's great, so I can take notes and pick up tips on how they play the game and how they approach the game.
What's it like playing for David Turner? What's he meant for you so far? What's he got you focused on?
Technique, everything is critical. Like, you can't know it's this much margin for error. So like everything is critical. All the technique he teaches you, he expects you to use it. And if you don't, it's a problem. So like everything that he puts in your toolbox, he expects to see it on film. If it's not on film, it's a big problem.
A lot of guys have talked about Deontay Anderson and the jump he's made since last year. What have you seen?
He's definitely got a lot better, at the physical standpoint and being physically tough standpoint. So yeah, he's gotten a lot better.
What's your role this year, you think, and how much is it going to expand from last year when you're just kind of in learning mode?
I can say that my role this year will be a lot more effective now that I know, how to do certain things and a lot more things, so that like when I come in, that I know what I have to do and how to do it, and I can execute it at a high rate of speed.
We've seen Eric Taylor be pretty versatile out there in practice, lining up at D tackle or nose guard. Kind of describe his game, what you've seen from him so far in camp.
For what I've seen, he's pretty explosive. He quick, twitchy, change the direction, hands. Yes, sir.
I know you and Dink are close, and y'all came in together out of high school, and he's a guy his role is going to increase this year as well. What can fans expect out of him other than doing what he does in the weight room?
They can expect a big, powerful guy that'll contain the pocket, push the pocket, and force the quarterback up in the pocket.
They've got a new position coach, but defensive coordinator was on staff last year, and of course, Coach Arnett's the head coach. Any major differences we can expect out of this defense?
It's a lot tougher. We're going to be a lot physical tougher. We're going to be heavily conditioned, so just look forward to playing.